One of the few things I can always count on is that no matter what room I enter, I typically have the strangest origin story. My birth parents were match married in a mass wedding of 2,000 couples in Madison Square Garden in New York City in 1982 by Sun Myung Moon, the self-anointed messiah from South Korea and founder of the Unification Church. I decided to ask my mother about the day of her wedding.
The head of the Unification Church, he had been a pastor in South Korea. He had been imprisoned in North Korean prison camp for, I don't know, 3 years? I forget how many years, but many, many people died in those prison camps. And he felt that was an extreme part of his spiritual training where he could get really close to God. He said he felt skin touch with God. And he told us a story about how the way he survived was, they'd only get one handful of rice a day and 1 cup of water, and they'd have to do hard labor. So he would share half of his rice as a way of gaining spiritual power over the physical body. And he would take a little rag and use half of his water to wash his body because they didn't have showers or baths or anything. And people really loved him. Obviously, his fellow princes really, really loved him, and he got a lot of strength. So after he got out, he was preaching. He felt he'd had a revelation that he was the Messiah and the true parent of mankind, and that his mission was to marry the perfect woman and have perfect children, and then spread this to the world and bless all these pure couples so they could have perfect children. So that was the whole purpose of the movement of the Moonies, was to raise people spiritually where they could have a good relationship with their spouse and have pure children. And of course there were many, many things you had to do to achieve this. An intense emotional experience of spirituality. It was really a lot of emotion, feeling belonging, feeling like I had a real purpose. I don't remember how old I was. I'm thinking maybe 20 years old, and I was going to Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. By Reverend Moon. He said, "You and you." Oh, this was in person. We were in this huge matchmaking ceremony with, thousands of people, probably 5,000 people. It was at the Grand Ballroom of the New Yorker Hotel, I think, where the Moonies were. So it was at least 4,000 people, because it ended up being 2,000 couples. So it was, some more than that. And then, after all these ceremonies and everything, he was walking around the room and just matching people to each other. He was using his spiritual vision. And I'm not sure what he was seeing, but he was, going, okay, you and you, you and you. And then you had to go and talk to the person and decide between yourselves if you agreed to that. It was much less romantic than I thought it might be. It felt very kind of sterile, kind of awkward, but you don't know, you've never done this before, so you're just like, okay. Years. Yeah, you couldn't, then we were sent to separate parts of the country. People who were engaged to each other would then be sent to separate parts of the country to work separately for several years. Purification, whatever that means. They didn't want people to have sexual or even sensual relationships. So it was really weird. It was extremely lonely. I was very confused. There was a big wedding, but then we weren't allowed to necessarily live together right away. But in his instance, they wanted us to get together right away, or something like that. It was some variation of that. That was extremely lonely and disappointing. Extremely lonely and disappointing. $2,000 couples in Madison Square Garden. It was a lot of waiting in line. I had made my own dress. I had been part of the sewing team that made a lot of dresses. And they were, a higher up lady in the Moonies had decided on a pattern that would fit most people, in different sizes. So we had a sewing team, and we made a whole bunch of dresses, and dressed myself. Everyone was lined up inside on the arena area, the 2,000 couples, and then the marriage ceremony was for all 2,000 at the same time. Somebody sang a Mario Lanza's song, Be My Love, which I thought was really weird because what I was experiencing wasn't that at all. But it was just, they had this ceremony that, they probably don't want people to talk about it, but in the Korean culture, they beat the bridegroom after the bride's company, the family beats the bridegroom to try to make sure he knows to stay in line or something. But in the Moonies, they decided that the bride beats the groom and the groom beats the bride to beat Satan out of you. And this is like hard and with a wooden stick.
Next time you come to me, you'll come as a wild man, in the grips of desire, by our own design, starved into lightness. Our hearts beat, gallant and free, on a horse we forgot to paint underneath us. Well, riding on air, no one believes us. We believed our dreams, our dreams didn't serve us. Well, they don't deserve us, God is our witness. We never failed our dreams. The next time you come to me, you'll be covered in shadow. reciting the Psalter, treading high water, carved out by lightness. Our pulse beats. Is there no peace still? On a horse we forgot to paint underneath us. Well, riding on air, no one believes us. We believe our dreams, 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 our dreams didn't serve us. Well, they don't deserve us, God is our witness. We never failed our dreams. We believed our dreams, 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 our dreams didn't serve us. Well, they don't deserve us, God is our witness. We never failed our dreams.